All right, so I'm recording. Welcome to Thursday Night Training. This is where we're going to get some questions answered and review. And the name of the game is constant repetition, right? So that's what we're going to be doing today. And we're going to do a little market structure, of course. And you know, I really don't like to have all of these indicators on here because it kind of defeats the purpose. So I'm going to take my support resistance. I'm just going to take the support resistance off so that we can begin to exercise our eye of what we're seeing. So let me just take that off really quick. Support resistance, just go ahead and take that one off. And let's go here and take off our support and resistance, make that false. All right. Okay, that looks a whole lot better. Looks a whole lot better. So yeah, we're going to be talking about support and market structure, and then of course we're going to talk more about top-down analysis. We're just going to keep repeating that so that we can see it over and over, playing out over and over again until it just becomes part of your framework when you are looking at the charts. And of course, any questions, any specific questions that you may have, that's what we're here for as well, to answer those questions. And also have a really, really great announcement that I'm super excited to share. So definitely going to do that, and then we'll be able to wrap it on up. Okay. So I think what I'll do is I'll start with the announcement. How about that? And then we can work from there. So who's that? So the first thing I wanted to say is I want to offer a huge congratulations, and I want you all to light the chat up as well and congratulate Dave, right? Because Dave has agreed to partner with me as an educator. And so there are going to be times where Dave is going to be conducting training on Thursday nights. Our team is growing. We have Doreen, then Paul that's beautifully handling, I might add, our Telegram group, huge support system there. And now we have Dave, who is on board with that, with the administrative team is what I'm calling it, where he's going to be sharing his insights. He has a great understanding of the market, as you probably already know. And so I'm just looking forward to him sharing his insight and providing the education to our group to help move it along, right? And I think that it's always really good that you have a different voice, right? That you have a different voice. I know Paul has offered some training as well, and people are resonating, you know, with his style of training, which is great. And it's awesome to have a different voice. So Dave is definitely going to bring that to the table, the way that he sees the market. And here's the thing too, all of it will be consistent with my model, you know, how we trade is consistent with Trading Made Easy. But you're just going to get it in a different way based on how he sees the market. So I'm super excited about that. So you all just give Dave a congratulations. He's definitely going to come in and make a really, really big difference in our training. So welcome, Dave. Y'all come out and unmute and give him a welcome. Let us hear it. I want to.
Congratulations, Dave.
Hey,
Congratulations, Dave.
That's great. That's great. Welcome.
Yes,
Great news.
My man, Dave, my man.
Absolutely. So we're super excited. He probably can't hear it as loud, but I'm sure that he heard something. So we just wanted to say, you know, congratulations, and I'm very, very thankful to have you as part of our team. So we're just looking forward to that. And so what we're going to be talking about, let's move into our training here. 1 second. Let's move into our training here. Now, I got a lot of inboxes last week, and then of course I saw some comments in the in the Telegram about the training that we did last week and how, you know, a lot of people really, really got value out of that training. And one of the things that I believe is the paramount reason is because last week's training was very engaging. Would you all agree? It was very engaging in that we, you know, it was more group participation in the in the training. And I think that it's very important that we have that, because when you hear yourself, is one thing, is a certain side of the brain that when you're listening, there's a certain side of the brain that's engaged in what you're hearing. But then there's another side of the brain that actually gathers the information, processes the information based on what you're saying, because you hear yourself now. So it's like, I'm using layman's terms, but it registers, it sticks when you actually hear yourself, you know, talking and reasoning through whatever it is that we're talking about. So I think that is very, very important that we, you know, become more engaged. If you have questions, and I say this often, this is where you want to ask those questions. And I know, of course, we have our Telegram group as well, but get all you can get. Get all you can get. I know that when I was, that's Dave coming back in. I know that when I first started, you know, honestly, I was just dogmatic. Like, I was going to get what I needed, right? Because it was crucial that I had it. And so that meant, you know, questions. I had questions. I would write those questions down throughout the week, because it was just important for me to get the understanding. And so I want you to leverage this platform, leverage me, leverage Paul, leverage Dave, leverage Doreen, leverage us, so that you can get what you came to get. And I'm assuming that it's the skill, right? By any means necessary. Dave, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I had to reboot my laptop, but I'm back on now.
Okay, awesome. Well, Dave, I think you missed your big congratulations. I thought you was on.
I probably did. I'm sorry, but I don't know. I've been my laptop's a little old, but yeah, I don't know what it was. I must have had a bad connection or something. But no.
Well,
We can do it again. We can do it again.
Yes. So, so I was just congratulating you and welcoming you, and just letting you know how thankful I am that you have agreed to come on board as one of our trainers and educators. And we're super excited about the value that you're going to bring to the team. And I had everybody unmute. So unmute and congratulate Dave.
Welcome.
Congratulations, Dave.
Congratulations,
Congrats,
Dave.
Dave.
Yay.
Come, man, stepping up, man. Stepping up. Welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
I'm very appreciative. I really am. It's this is such a great group of people, and I feel really blessed and lucky to be part of this. And I just hope we can all make some money and move forward. You know, I've been trading for a while, but I was telling Janice, and I'm going to give her a plug here in a minute, but I've learned some things certainly through the Simplicity stuff, but also through Janice, in terms of her training and her insight into the markets and in a really solid system. So I just hope I can help some people do the same thing. That's all.
Well, you absolutely will. I have no doubt. And the team is definitely, I was going to say they're going to be pleasantly surprised, but I don't even think it's going to be a surprise, because you definitely have, a healthy insight of the market. And what I mentioned as well is that how valuable it is to hear a different voice and to get their perspective of the same thing, because our foundations are the same. But just the way that you see it and the way that you articulate that will certainly resonate with other people. And that's what it's about. We want some diverse ways or forms of articulating the same information, right?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And for those of you, and here's the plug, for those of you that haven't taken Janice's Forex Mastery course, it is worth every penny. I mean, she enlightened me on some things that I wasn't doing correctly in terms of chart reading, looking at structure, looking at a lot of different things. And so if you're considering having more education to become a better trader, that course is really, really worth it. And the sessions are recorded, so you can watch them over and over and over, and use that as a tool to just constantly improve. So
Absolutely. Well, I certainly appreciate that, and I'm certainly glad that you got value out of it. You know, when you love what you do, it never feels like work. It never feels like work.
amen.
Yeah, and so we do have a specified, a minimum time frame, and oftentimes, I would say probably 99% of the time, if we go over, it's not because of you, it's usually because of me, because you probably have to say, okay, that's enough, girl. We can get back together the next time. But I just love what I do, and I'm here. I'm just here. So I want you all, you know, to leverage us, right? To leverage us. There's different ways that you can get in contact with me. I mean, really every way. And I think that I speak for Paul and Doreen. They make themselves very, very accessible as well. Now, we don't want to create a dependency environment either. You know, we want to give you the tools, the resources, and insight. And then now you want to go and you want to process that. You want to start to implement that. And so we don't want to create a dependency, but we want you to know that we're certainly here. Certainly here. Okay. So with that being said, we're going to go into our training. And as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about market structure, just repeating the process. And we're going to be going through the higher and lower time frame relationship, right? We're going to do some more basics on that. And any questions that you all may have. Now, I did have a request, and let me see, because I've got a quick text here. Bear with me one moment. I did have a request to just kind of go over entering and exiting, setting stop loss and take profits and things like that. So I'm going to try to definitely get that in there as well. All right. So as you all can see, I did move the support and resistance dots off of our system, right? And that's primarily because we want to start getting our eyes accustomed to looking at price. I can't stress that enough, how important that is. Before the meeting started, Doreen and I was just briefly talking about candlesticks and the formations and the stories that the candlesticks tell, right? I've been spending a lot more time this week in particular, just candlesticks, and dojis and engulfing candles in particular, but they tell such a huge story. And when you incorporate that insight with the basic trading plan, the early entry trading plan, you see a lot of consistency. So we do have the Candlestick Bible that is inside of the Telegram group in the media files. And I recommend downloading that. And, you know, it's pretty thick. So just kind of start developing a routine of studying that, right? Now, one of the things that I can say that is effective when you're studying, so whatever you're reading, whatever you're listening to, if you're looking at a video, whatever those concepts are, stop the video, stop reading at that point, and then take those concepts to the chart, because you can get into a pattern of just listening to audio, right? Or you just getting in a pattern, you're just reading, but there's no real sense of application because you're not really applying it. And I'll be the first to tell you, it's a process, right? It's a process learning the skill set, and it's pieces that you're actually putting together, and you have to give each piece its dedicated, and I should say required time to understand it. And for those that are past that stage, I'm sure that they can attest that that's what they had to do. That's what they had to do. And so that's one of the things that I recommend as well, is the Candlestick Bible, to just start incorporating that. We have more coming in, bear with me. Start incorporating that, okay? So first thing that we want to...
Oops, sorry.
Oh, no problem. No problem. You caught it. Okay, so market structure. Now, market structure can come in multiple forms. Excuse me. One is support and resistance. I mean, that's really the foundation of the foreign exchange market, of price action, I should say, is support and resistance, right? Because price moves within various support and resistance levels. just to keep it kind of basic, right? So support and resistance is definitely structure. Pivot points. I call these pivot points. Whenever you have price, whenever, whoever's not muted, unmute for me, please. I'm sorry, mute for me, please. Whenever you have price going, you know, in an impulse, whether bullish or bearish, and then it just drops without, that's the key, without consolidation, that's considered a pivot. This right here, for instance, is a pivot point. Why? Because price came up and then it fell, right? It doesn't have to be a deep fall or deep rise. What you're recognizing is the fact that it did not consolidate before it did that. It did not consolidate before it did that. And so that's called a pivot, but that's also structure. That's also structure. And you'll find that support and resistance and pivot point areas do align with key levels on the fib most often, right? Also, patterns are considered a part of market structure. Trend lines, when you're drawing trend lines, you're isolating price. That's really the only reason you're going to draw a trend line, because you're waiting for something to happen, right? So you're isolating price with a trend line, and if and when price breaks and close above or below the trend line, guess what? It just broke structure. It just broke structure. So trend lines are used to identify and isolate structure. Other patterns as well is used to do that. Channels are part of market structure. So there's a slew of different patterns and tools that we use to identify market structure. But for our purposes here today, and just looking at the price action, we're going to be looking at support and resistance and pivots. Those areas become key areas that identify your potential take profit. It also identifies your stop loss, right? Okay. And it's for obvious reasons. And it's only because price visited that area before. There's basic things that we need to understand about price, and that's it always repeats itself. Just know that it repeats itself. And as I always mention, we just don't know when, but we know it will. So we rely on what took place in the past to give us insight on what price is likely to do. And I say likely because things can happen at a drop of a dime and cause a pattern to just flip, do the opposite, right? And we have no control over that. But we know that price will always bounce back to that previous unbroken structure. That's very, very key. Okay? Previous unbroken structure. And I should really just say previous structure, because even after it breaks, that area of structure that was broken is still an area of interest that you want to consider when price is, you know, near it. Because even though it was broken, but it was already established. And once it was established, it's like it's recorded in the records now. It's recorded in the records now. It's an area that you want to always consider. Okay. And so with that being said, what we're going to be doing is just identifying some structure. Let me take this off. And then we're going to move into higher, lower time frame. What am I doing? Oh, auto show. Okay. And then we're moving to the next segment there. We're moving to the next segment. Okay. So let's see here. Let me pull up the, right, okay, let me pull that up. All righty, so real basic stuff here, but we have to be able to identify it, right? All right, so we have this bearish move going on right here, okay? And what we're going to do is identify structure. Now, anybody can jump out. We're looking at this arrow right here, this area right here. Where are we looking to identify our structure? Anybody? Where are we looking to identify our structure?
We're looking in the past to the left.
We're looking in the past to the left. And what are some things that we're looking for?
Similar patterns that we're looking at now.
And what,
Consolidation areas,
say that,
bullish.
say again?
consolidation areas.
So consolidation areas, that would be an area that we're looking at, right? So then what we want to do is identify those areas, those consolidation areas. I see a little consolidation here.
Right.
So what else are we looking for? So we know, which is very important, we're looking in the past, right?
Right.
What else are we looking for?
Support and resistance.
Yep, support and resistance. And we can identify support and resistance, right? Okay. Oops. Now, one of the things that just kind of makes that a little easier, we don't have to do it on here. You can drop down to your line chart and you can identify support and resistance. If you do it with the whole candle with the wicks, then what I do is I identify support and resistance based on my wick. But if I was using the line chart, I would be defining, identifying support and resistance based on the close of the body of the candle or the opening.
So is that support and resistance line you just put in there, both of them? Or are you putting in two lines for support and resistance, or is that your support and resistance line?
No, they're separate, and that's
Okay.
good. They're
Okay.
separate. So the question, now I have my line right here, okay? We know price moves from left to right, right? So price moves from left to right. So what would this line be? My support or my resistance? Anyone?
Resistance.
Resistance. Absolutely. So this is my resistance area, right? And we can certainly identify some support areas too. And when we are looking for, when we're identifying, I should say, support and resistance, what we're looking for are at least two areas where price relatively touch in the same, same line, right? So you may have a price that has broken it, the wick may have gone above or below it, but you have at least two wicks that has actually touched the line and bounced off of it. Now you can go as far back as you want, but it's always good to stay relative to current price. So support right here would be, this is a good one, right? Clear
Yeah.
bounce, hit, bounce, hit, bounce, hit, bounce, right? So when you see that, you came close, then you broke through, but you bounce back up, right? You bounce back up right here, right? And so this is a strong line. Came down, hit it again, bounce back up. Let's take this further out. This is a very, very strong support area. Look at all that action in here, but bounce back up until when? What will eventually happen? Anyone?
Price is going to break out?
Price will break out.
Structure's
Price
gonna get
will break
broken.
out. Absolutely. Now here's the rule of thumb. 3 touches, right? 3 times price visited that area and rejected. You want to start looking for a breakout. A breakout is coming soon. It's imminent, right? It's coming. So you want to be prepared for that. But this is how we prepare for it. We don't trade until it breaks out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're in a trade and you go into consolidation, or you bouncing off of this, a particular support or resistance line, you're in the trade already, and hopefully you're on the right side of price, and you just ride that out, because if you're on the right side of price will go back in that direction. Just
Right.
remember, we don't know when. That's why not over leveraging your account is so vitally important, because you want to live the trade another day, right? And you have to be able to handle the swing. We want to be able to handle the swing. But that's what we're doing. We're waiting for a breakout. So right here, clear as day, it broke out. Now, when price breaks a structure, because now, wouldn't you agree that the structure, this support line was structure, right? And
Yes.
once price broke structure, Anytime price breaks structure, it tends to go in that direction. Even if the structure was broken on the opposite of the trend. The run may not be as aggressive, but what price is saying is I still want to go in this direction. And that's why it's so important that we always refer to the left and identifying structure as price is moving, because we know that price moves from one structural area to the next. That's all price does, right? That's all it does. And so that's vitally important. So whenever price breaks structure, just know that price wants to continue in that direction. Now, if the structure is broken in the direction of the trend, then you are likely, because I can't speak in 100% definitive measures, but you're likely to have another push down or another push up to where? The next level. Oops, I'm sorry, I had him in his room. I didn't realize. One moment. The next level.
What do you mean the next level?
Well, that's when we look left, the next level, because you're constantly identifying structure. So now we've identified this structure, which is consolidation, right? Our support, this is the support level, happens to be consolidation, but it's support level. So now let's keep going, right? So we have more structure we see right here.
Oh.
You see that? Because price moves from one structural area to the next.
Okay.
So this is structure right here. We got support right here. And even if you just identify support and resistance, it really is the same thing. Price hit this area, bounce back, hit this area, bounce back. And let's see, what did it do? Okay, so you see activity right here, right around this price point. This line represents a price. Every support and resistance line represents a price. So right around this price point, we got consolidation around dancing on this line, right? Look at this, plain as day, dancing on this line. So seeing this act, and look at how price is just riding in between the two, right? Until when? Until it broke out.
Breaks out, right.
So it broke out, came up, rallied right back to that same area and did the dance again. It's in the box, dancing again. Until when? Until it did what? Breaks out.
Breaks out again.
Breaks out again. And it repeats itself. So it did a little pullback and it rallied back up. It rallied back up. So now we're here. And guess what price did? It came back to the same area. And it's dancing. It came in, rejected, bounced back. Came back down, hit it, rejected, bounce back. That's all price does until it breaks and goes to the next level.
Gotcha.
That makes sense, Stacy?
Yeah.
And then, so now we had that going on. We just visited this area. So it broke out. It broke out. And guess what? Now we at this level. You see, we started here, back over here. Back here on this bearish big arrow. But remember, we're doing all of our identification from the left side of the house. But you can see it now in hindsight playing out on the right side because, you know, that has happened. But we look left to make the identification. And here's the beauty, and I get excited about it because now remember, at this point, we would not have seen any of this, any of it, right? So we only have the data from the left side. And that's all we need because remember, price repeats itself. So if price, we've identified support and resistance from the left side, we don't know what's going to happen at this point. We don't see this yet, but price still respected these parameters.
Yep.
You see that? Price still respect these parameters. Bounce, bounce, all of that. Until when? Until it broke out.
Yeah. We followed that trend.
And then it broke out, and then what did it do? It just broke out to the next level. But it's going to do the dance. So now it did the dance. Hit, up, hit, reject, up. Now we went back into what? This zone. Now, what happened when price hit this area in the past? It rejected. You see that? You see that?
Yeah.
It rejected. It's going to keep trying to break, and it will continue to reject until it does what? It breaks out. And then when it breaks out, guess what? It goes to the next level. So where's the next level, anybody, from this point? Where's the next level? Y'all see where it broke out at?
Right.
Right here. This is the breakout candle. Right? Now, let me just say, because I know we have some new members here. And that's awesome. I'm glad you all are here. So a breakout is basically when price close above the structure. That's considered a breakout. We do not consider the wicks. The wicks are not considered as, it's not part of the body of the candle, actually. But wicks are very important, but as far as the body, that's what we're looking for. When the body closes above or below a structure, it broke the structure. Okay, so that's called a breakout. And that's the candle we look for. So in this case here, it was a breakout candle right here. And then what happened? Remember, whenever price breaks a zone or breaks structure, it tends to want to continue in that direction. So what happened? It broke right here. And guess what? Pushed right up. Where? To the next level. That's all price does. It moves from one level to the next. One level to the next. We'll get more into that. That's called the Elliott waves. But I'm gonna simplify it, right? That's really what I'm talking about. The levels in which price moves. Anyone familiar with Elliott waves?
No.
Okay.
Not so much. I've not really looked into that too much.
Yeah, and
I read
basically
about it a little bit with Elliott waves, but I don't know the specifics of it. So
right.
yeah.
Well, it's just levels. It's just levels. So let me see this.
Hey, Janice, may I add a comment?
Sure.
So one thing that can be clues on a chart too, is that a lot of times support can become resistance and resistance can become support.
Absolutely.
And when you find an area on a chart where you see that, where there's one certain price point might be support at one point, then it turns into resistance on another down the road, that's a clue that that's a really, really strong area on price. And, the market likes that area for some reason. It always, it'll revisit it for a while until its structure's broken again.
All right. I have a question about that.
When people are looking at areas on a chart and putting certain support and resistance together, it's very common to see that.
So when in a scenario where support becomes resistance, do you have to do the other support line again? So you're making another line?
Not necessarily. What you may see, Stacy, is you might see candles, like, for example, you might see candles approach resistance, and then price gets rejected. So price is rising,
right?
It hits a resistance point, and then price is rejected off of that price. And then at some point down the line, you might see price break through that resistance and continue on up, and then it will reverse, and then price will come back and revisit that same point, and now it becomes support.
Okay, got it.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So that when you see that kind of stuff on a chart, that's a clue to you that could potentially be a strong area of interest in the market.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And we love to see support that turn into resistance and vice versa, because it's a confirmation that is an area that was highly respected in the past.
Got you.
Right?
Okay.
So this is just a little diagram of Elliott waves. It's typically 5 waves, up or down. This is obviously bullish, right? Because you're having what? Higher highs. Okay, so let me just kind of say this. I don't want to deviate too far. So, of course, this is bullish. And the reason is because the previous high is higher than, we have higher highs and higher lows, in other words, right? So you have this first high right here. right? And then you have the next high right here. Well, this high is higher than that high.
Right.
This high is higher than that high. This low is, well, this low is higher than this low. That is a bullish trend. And the same is this, it's just the opposite for bearish. But as far as Elliott waves go, this is basically how price moves. It moves in these levels. And each one of these levels coincide with a fib level as well. It coincides with the fib level. So you may have, structure. You always looking for structure though. I can't get away from it. You always looking for structure. And so right here, we got a nice little trend line where price just bounce, bounce, bounce. Now, if you was in a buy, when would you get out this buy? Anyone? If you was in a buy, we got our trend line, right? The reason it's a bullish, does everybody understand why it's a bullish trend?
Because it's going up.
You
Right.
have higher highs and
There you
yeah.
go. Because you have higher highs and higher lows.
Okay.
That's important because price can be going up and you can be in a bearish trend. You know what I mean? So that's the key. Higher highs. So you're looking for the previous high to be broken by the current high is what you're looking for. So nevertheless, so this is bullish. So we're in a buy. Just ignore the indicators for now, the big arrow. Just watch this. So we're in a buy. When do we get out?
When it breaks the trend line.
When it breaks,
Yeah.
it do what?
When structure's broken on the trend line and there's a confirmation it's been broken.
Right.
Oh,
And
okay. Go ahead.
when you start getting lower highs, higher lows, higher,
Higher low.
lower
Lower
lows.
highs and lower lows.
Yeah,
There you
I get
go.
confused
I
with
knew
that.
what you're saying.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. Yeah, all of y'all absolutely right. Absolutely right. Now, my first thing, and this is the first thing that has to happen, it has to break and close. It has to break and close. Now, this is so pivotal, and I think I'm deviating. But okay, I'm gonna pull back in. But okay, let me just say this real quick. So when I'm in a buy, I'm gonna stay in this buy, right? As long as this trend line hasn't been broken. Now, once the candle breaks and closes below that trend line, right? And then it retests that trend line. That's when, and now not break it, just retest the trend line. Now we're looking for what? A downtrend. And like Doreen said, right. She said now, because Doreen went past this piece right here. I mean, she's absolutely right when she said, now I'm looking for lower lows and lower highs. Right. That's what's when this happened, that's what you're gonna start seeing. If the market just flips, price just flips. It goes up to a certain point and then it flips and goes down to a certain point. That's all it does. But you have to be able to recognize that on the candles.
Okay. On
the candles. Now we have our indicators that tell us, gives us this insight. But I'm real big on knowing this without the indicators so that the indicators just it serves as a confirmation. That makes sense?
Yep.
So now if price actually broke out and then it broke the trend line to the upside, retested that line, now what's going to happen? Where price going?
Price is going to continue up.
Up, yeah. Okay.
It's going to continue up. See how we just flipped right back to where it was before, right? But see, the candles will give you the indication of what price wants to do.
Okay.
And that's why without structure, you can't see it. You can't, most people can't see it. I'll say that. I can't see it without structure. The trend line. Okay. Support and resistance.
Would you mind reviewing how you set your buy sell zones in the 1 hour?
Yep, we're going to go through that as well.
Okay.
Alrighty. So we understand the high highs and all that. I don't even know how we got on that, but that was just something added that just kind of further your understanding, because it is important. We talked about structure and identifying that. If you can identify support and resistance, and you can just drop those lines, trust me, you're going to be able to see clearly what price is doing. Because just like price came down here, it broke this support and it hit this support. Then it bounced back up, right? It bounced up where it closed above it. So it closed above it, and what did price do? It went back up, right? So if you can identify your support and resistance, you can see how price dance in between, and then it breaks out, goes to the next level.
And you can also see clearly a 1, 2, 3 pattern where you were just pointing where the big arrow is and down. Yeah.
Exactly. You see that? Big arrow, 1, 2, 3. And this is actually, now this is too deep though, but we ain't even gonna go into it. But this is harmonics. This is harmonics, right? When you are able to identify all that, but we're not there yet, right? And when I made the video yesterday, and one of the things that I talked about, well, briefly, was you don't have to be a master at this. Like, you don't have to know all of this stuff. You know, that's based on your desire to go deeper, that's fine, but you don't have to in order to consistently profit in the market. If you understand some basic things and you do that consistently, you're going to consistently profit. Now, are you going to take an L? Absolutely. We all do. But they should be minimal. They should be minimal. Okay. Any questions on market structure? I think we kind of beat market structure up a little bit. That was EJ. What was it, EJ, that we was talking about, Doreen, before the class?
Yes, I was saying there was a triple arrow on the daily time frame.
Yeah, because I was like, this is okay. I was looking at UCAD though. Okay, because I remember from the daily down, it was pretty consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but this is where this leads us right into our next piece real quick. And before I do that, let's go ahead on and address your question, Stacy. Now, so correct me if I'm wrong. So you want to know, how do you determine your take profit and how do you determine your stop loss?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all righty. So if you are in your position, whatever position that happens to be in, buy or sell. So we're buying, right? Let's say you're right here.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the zone, right? We should only be looking for buys. Our criteria has been met. We just kind of, assuming all of that has happened. And let's say you got into the trade when this candle right here closed, this bullish candle right here closed. That's when you entered in. Now we enter market execution. Market execution, you go right in as is. It's just buying anything as is, right? But it's really specific because the broker actually puts you in at a certain price between the ask and the bid price. And so you're there. Your entry is already logged, if you will. Now you want to determine where you're going to get out. So that's exactly what we've been talking about thus far, Stacy. So look left, and what are we looking for when we look left? We're looking for structure. Right? Because structure, that becomes our potential TP areas. I see a little structure right here, right? See some structure right here. I see some structure right here, right? So, okay, so these nice little stair step, as a matter of fact. Okay, so we see should always look left. That's where your history is, right? So now, for you entered in right here. Now you look left. These areas become your potential TP areas. So how do you know what the price is? You just take your crosshair after you've identified the area, put it right on that area, look over to your price bar, and that's 124.058. That becomes your TP if that's the area you wanted to take profit. Or if you wanted to ride it up to this point, right? Then that is what? 129, 124, and 944. That's your TP. So that becomes your TP. Right? Now, what you want to do
The
is,
take profit literally is the sale amount, where the amount of when you're selling, or yeah, when you're selling your interest.
okay, I don't understand that.
What are the numbers on to the far right?
Yes,
Price, correct?
yes.
All right. So if you're setting your TP at that top bar that the candle right there,
Uh-huh.
so you're just this notifying you what price you're exiting.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. But you're buying in this case.
Oh yes, I'm sorry.
Fine. That's what threw me, but it's okay. Now, one thing I want to say about that as well. Okay, so you're buying, so price is moving up, right? And so these are bona fide areas. But honestly, you could take your price, your TP, at the bottom here too. I mean, I wouldn't. I'm just saying as an example. Doesn't
Okay.
always have to be from the top. It's just based on where you're trying to go in the market. If you identify structure of any kind, that becomes a potential TP. Just like we identified this consolidation on the top, right? I could have did the same thing at the bottom here. Could have did the same thing and just put my line right there, right? Could have did that. Actually, did this break out? So that could have been the case too. This is a poor example, but what I'm saying is everything, all the structure on the left side is a potential TP, basically. Okay. Now, as far as your stop loss, I don't really get too much into stop loss because it is subjective, and that really kind of gets into managing your account, and that's not something I do. But I can give you some areas of interest that you want to identify. One, the big arrow, of course, gives you that first indication. You can always place it under the big arrow, or you can place it right under the zone.
Of the zone.
Right.
Okay.
You can place it right under the zone. Right. These are identified areas where price did not, break in the past. It doesn't mean it won't break though. But these are typically safer zones for a stop loss. And of course, as price is continuing in that direction, when you get to a certain point, you can lock that, just move your stop loss up. Move your stop loss up. So if you was to have gotten in right here, right, you could have stayed in the trade until, let's say, at this point. At this point, that's what, 60 some odd pips. Once, but your target is here. But once you got here, your stop loss started right here at 123.041. But when price got to this point, you move the stop loss up, or you just change the number in that area.
Okay, so it lessens your potential for loss.
Oh, you zero loss at this point.
Say it again?
You would be zero loss at this point.
Okay.
Once you move that stop loss up, it locked in everything that you had obtained from your entry to that point.
Like card sharks.
Well, see, I don't even know about card sharks, but if it relates.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's how it's going to be sticking in my head. I got it.
But hey, if it helps it make sense, it's good. So, and that's always the goal. You want to walk away with pips. I don't care if it's 2 pips.
Got you.
It's 2 positive pips, not negative pips, and that's the key, right? So,
Okay.
so that's what you want to do on your stop loss and your take profits.
Okay. That helped a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome. And was there another question you had earlier too?
All right, so let's say yes, there was one. Let's say I want to enter with that arrow is right there. How do I actually make my bid if I don't have the one push button buy? How would I take that make that trade?
And you trade on your phone or the computer?
Right now I'm studying on the computer, but I have it set up on my phone too.
Okay, no problem. So right here, it's F9 or new order.
Oh, okay.
F9 or new order. And when you hit that, your graph, of course, will pop up. And now whatever chart you're on, that's really the symbol that you're going to see. But there is a drop down. All the 6 symbols are there. So just make sure it matches what you're trading. then your volume, of course, that refers to your lot size, right? Now with this one on the computer, it jumps a whole lot of lot size money, right? So it starts with 10 cents. What we know money to be is opposite in the industry. So this looks like a penny, right? That's a penny, but it's actually 10 cents. So you have 3 lots. You have a micro lot, a mini lot, and a standard lot. And the various lot sizes coincide with one of those, lots. So your micro lot is 0.01 through 0.09. So this is not a penny though, this is 10 cents.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 10 cents through 90 cents. But on the computer, it stops at 50 cents and then it jumps to $10.
Oh.
Yeah, you can hurt yourself.
You can type in there like point
Right,
one.
you can type it in. Yeah, you can type it in.
Mhm.
And I recommend doing that. But just know those are mini lots and then, micro lots. And then your minis is $1 through $9. And then your standard is $10 and above.
Okay.
Okay. And you will put that in there. And then of course your stop loss, whatever that price is, take profit, whatever that price is. I don't use comments, market execution, and buy or sell or buy.
Okay.
And you're in. Okay. So, and like I said, this kind of stuff, you do that after your second entry, you're going to be able to do that with your eyes closed.
Okay.
So on UCAD, now let's talk about some higher, lower time frame analysis, right? Okay, so on UCAD, we're bullish, right? On UCAD. And what is price actually, remember the 3 stages of price, right? So what is price doing right now?
Looks like impulse.
You said it was an impulse?
It's consolidating.
It's consolidating.
Oh, what's it doing right now? I'm looking at the arrow over here, the white arrow.
Right. So yeah, always be active price, right?
Okay.
So
Right.
it's consolidating at this point. Now you can always tell, even if the candle is active, if it's looking like consolidation because of what you're seeing here, where there's more wick than body. That's typically a consolidation candle, and that's what looks like is happening here. Though this is still an active candle, I'm on the 4 hour, so this is still active. But that's what's happening right now. Okay. So, but overall, what direction is price going in?
Bullish.
Up.
Well, yeah, according to the trend, I'm sorry, active. Where's price coming from?
Oh, it's
It's coming out of a supply zone.
Right. So if it's coming out of supply zone, we're going down.
right.
Right. We're going down.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's doing now. I mean, right now it looks like it's consolidating, but overall within that realm of price, it's trending down, right?
Yeah.
It's going down.
And
So
it's down into an area of structure, potentially.
Say that again, Dave.
I said it's down into an area of structure right now on the 4 hour chart.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so that's my next question. Well, Dave, that's good, Dave. So that was my next question. I wanted to make sure you all are able to identify that. See, because you can look at it, you will get to a point, and I say this to encourage and inspire you and all of that. When you hear Paul and Doreen and myself and Dave, look at the chart and be like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Oh, it's going da, 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 da. That's because out of repetition and seeing it over and over again, you'll get to a point where you can just look at it and see what's going on. So Dave said that we were at an area of structure. And that's absolutely correct, right? We have quite a bit. Whenever you see a lot of wick action going on, you want to start boxing some stuff in. You want to start putting that support or resistance line there, right?
Mhm.
Now, so do you all do you all see why Dave said that we are at an area of structure?
Because of all this sideways movement, this consolidation stuff.
Well, yeah, it's consolidating, absolutely. But more importantly, where it's rejecting from. Where
Oh,
is
it's
it rejecting?
bouncing off the zone.
It's bouncing off of a area of price, right? Right, because I dropped this line here, which is a support line, right?
Mhm.
And so this price right here, this is an area where price rejected in the past. Why? Because now what we're going to do, just look in the past. Look at all that rejection. Hit up, reject, consolidated, broke out. Now here's where support becomes resistance. It broke out, came up, and what? Rejected.
That's a great example, Janice.
It is.
Great example. Yep.
That's a perfect example of support becoming resistance.
Absolutely. And now it rejected off of there. So that makes it right there. We love to see that because you're like, oh, this is a strong. And what that means is that price is coming back, right? So now it's doing the dance again. So it broke back out. Now it's back as support. And you got the dance going on. So this is a very, very strong area based on what we see. Can you all agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Now what we want to do, now we're going to use the tool to just confirm what we already know. That's the place we want to always be in. So now let's put our fib on here because this is a key level. Trust me. This is a key level. Where are we? Right at the 50.
Yep.
We're right at the 50. I love when I get excited because the market can be it's predictable. It's predictable. You see that, Stacy?
When you say right up to 50, what do you mean?
Well, I just put this, you see these lines, these yellow lines, I just put
Oh, you football. Okay, gotcha.
You call it the football?
It's football field now.
Oh, okay. Well, you got your analogies, whatever works.
Good way to think about it, actually.
I love it. I love it. Everybody sees different things.
I understand it already.
It's the 50-yard line.
I already know what she's talking about.
All right, Paul.
And I'm not a sports person, so I'm like, what? Okay, but you're right. Okay, so it works out. But yeah, at the 50, we at the golden zone.
Okay.
The 50 on the that level of price, it's like price meeting in the middle between the high and the low of price over a period of time. There's some very specific calculations that go into the Fibonacci, right? I don't know what it is, but I know it's very, very accurate. It's very, very accurate that when price gets to the golden zone, it's going to reverse. It's going to push back. It's going to do it. It's going to do it. That's the halfway point, right? So it's a very strong rejection area. Will it break? Absolutely. Every zone breaks. But when you know that, okay, I'm getting to the 50 right here. So what do you want to do as far as your take profit? If you're, so we're buying, right? Well, it's on the other side. But if we were coming up, if price was coming up and it's approaching the 50, you might want to, one of the things you could do is you could take your profit right at that point because you already know it's going to push you back. So you might not want to go through that. I mean, the scenarios just vary. It's based on a whole lot of things, but that's one of the decisions that you can make is that, okay, I'm just going to go with the 50. And I used to trade this, and sometimes I do. It's good to have multiple ways of trading. Sometimes, like when I catch the big arrow, I'll be like, I'm just going to take it to the 50 because I know it's going to the 50.
Okay.
I know it's going to the 50, right? So if you was in this area here, we close above there. I'm just using this, but and we just take it to the 50.
You
This
can
is
take
4
profit
hours.
right at the 50. Okay.
Yeah, I take it to the 50 for 60 some odd pips. Of course, we have our zone, so we got multiple ways that we can trade. You can just take it up to the next zone. I mean, it's just multiple ways, but understanding price and key areas in price where you're going to get a reaction. David Brown, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, I saw your hand. I'm coming to you.
Okay.
You can see when you know that, then you can start to really strategize, right, for the best financial outcome.
Gotcha.
Your temperament may be, listen, my nerves is shot. I just want to get out of here, get out of this trade, right? And you may say, I'm just taking it to the 50. I ain't messing around with it because it's going to start vacillating. It may push me all the way back down, to the 61 or the 78. I mean, because that can happen. It happened here. Look, price came up, did a little dance around the 50 and took you right back down to the 78, right? So with that being the case, if not knowing this, you're like, man, why that joker pull back? Well,
Another
because it
question.
hit a golden zone and it pulled you back 80s. Well, if you would have gotten in, where was that at? Right here. That wouldn't have been bad because if your entry was here, you would have got pulled back about 13 pips or so, right?
What's
But
the difference between the yellow and the white number over here? What's the yellow number?
over here,
Yeah.
that's the Fibonacci levels.
Okay.
The Fibonacci level.
Oh, I got you. That's the
Mhm.
yard lines. Okay, got it.
Yeah, yard lines. Okay. Dave,
Yeah.
come
two
on
things-
out.
Yes, two things. The when you use the Fibonacci tool, where do you? Okay, well, first thing, where do you place it? And then let it fan out. So you'll place level. Do you place it at the buy arrow? I mean, at the trend arrow, or where do you place it so it'll draw your numbers in correctly?
Well, the great thing about this tool that we have is that it already does that for you. All you got to do is drag it into your chart. It already positions the lines in accordance with, really is still supporting the resistance, but in accordance to price action. You don't have to, that's a manual function. Now, manually, you can put it on manually, and you'll go from, bottom of price to the top or top to the
Okay.
bottom. But in this case, you don't have to do that. We already have it.
And it'll do it for sales as well as buys.
Absolutely. Once you put it on, once you put your fib on, it's already adjusted to price action, current price action.
Wonderful. Okay,
Yeah.
good. That's
Mhm.
good. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Yeah, so the fibs is a beautiful thing, and you don't have to overcomplicate it. You can just use it for TPs. You can use it for stop loss. Okay. All right, so let me take this off. We are moving along. Fibs. Okay. All righty, so we are at a pivotal area. I want to keep that on here. We already know we're at the 50 right here, right? We're at the 50. We're bullish. Okay, so on the hour, if we are at our 50, we at a reversal area, a rejection area. On the 4 hour, on the lower time frame, we should see this active candle playing out. Is that right? For those who were here last week, remember we talked about whatever's going on the higher time frame is actually playing out on the lower time frame.
Yes.
So we're looking at that active candle because that's the candle that you're going to see the activity in on the lower time frame. Even though it's little, but there's a lot of buying and selling pressure still going on in there. So based on this candle right here, what we should be expecting to see? Let me just expand it out so you can see. See where price is? Price is now in the demand zone. Remember, on the 4 hour, we were coming out of the supply zone, right? We hit our 50. We're bouncing off of it. But the active candle is bullish. So the active candle, price action is going on in here. And all of this too. See, all of this going on is replayed out on the lower time frame. So in other words, now I don't want to confuse you. So you have price action coming out of the supply zone, looks about, well, at the body, 79 pips. 79 pips, right? So on the 15-minute, let's go. We got 96 pips, 96 pips. 96. So it's roughly, depending on where you start, it counted the wicks. So we roughly about 100 or so pips, right? And now from the supply zone, now on the 15-minute, we're bullish on the 15-minute, which is fine, right? From the supply zone, we're roughly about 98 pips or so. See, that was the move on the 4 hour. Remember, each one of these candles is 4 hours, right? So if I started here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 4 is 20, right? So this is, and let me know if this is getting a little out there, because sometimes I can do that. So on the 15-minute, so that's 20 hours, right? So on the 15-minute, you want to go back 20 hours. Well, yeah, 20 hours. Let me think about this in my head, so I won't come out so confusing. But basically, if it's 20 hours on the 4 hour, how many hours is it on the 15-minute? And you count those candles, and that lets you know where price is. Now, we could have certainly looked at this area right here, because of course it was going down. If it's going down on the 4 hour, it has already expanded out into the demand zone on the lower time frame. And maybe that was an easier way to describe that. So you see how price is coming out of the supply zone, is going down, right? It's going down. Eventually on the 4 hour, it's going to come into this demand zone eventually. But on the lower time frame, on the 15-minute, this same movement, this same move right here has already happened on the lower time frame. It's almost like a rubber band. You just stretching these candles out is what you're actually seeing playing out on the lower time frame. So that's.
I was just going to say you have, well, just for everybody, maybe Stacy and the newer folks, that if you've got in terms of 15-minute candles, you have 4 15-minute candles in every hour.
Yeah.
Right. So with every 4 hour candle or 4 hour candle, you'll have 16.
4 times. Yeah, exactly.
You'll have 16 15-minute candles.
No,
Because
it's
that
4 hour
one-
period.
that one active
15-minute
wick,
candles in a 4 hour candle.
Correct.
Say that again.
15-minute candles in a 4 hour candle.
There's
Correct.
16
So if you have
15-minute
16 15-minute candles in a 4 hour candle,
Correct.
times 5 4 hour candles, that's 80 15-minute candles on
Right.
the 15-minute chart.
Right.
So you can go back and track and see how it came out of the supply zone on the 4 hour chart, and you'll see it come out of the supply zone on the 15-minute chart, but it was 80 candles ago.
Right. And I think that's the part that it can be confusing, is that we're looking at the active candle, the most current candle on the lower time frame to see the relationship, but you can't, because you got to go back to where that began on the lower time frame. You see what I mean?
Yep.
So you got to go back to where it began. And I think that the easier way to understand it too is just know, like, whatever this candle, like this bearish candle right here, it stopped, it started here, it ended here, right? But on the lower time frame, it's this one candle is multiple candles going down.
Right.
Going down. So if this one candle is 4 hours, how many 15-minute candles it takes to make one 4 hour candle? 8. So that means this one candle, right, is 8 times. So candle 1, candle 2, candle 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're in the zone. Now,
Right.
when you go down to the 15-minute, that's what you should expect to see
Yep,
in the zone,
there you go.
right?
Yep.
And sometimes you got to play it out in your head too, because it could be confusing. You know, you got to just, you know, and I know people that kind of understand that just rattle it off and be like, what are you talking about? So, but you
I'm
got to just
relatively new, but so whoever's newer than me, just replay this video right here and it'll help a lot.
yeah, and it's just repetition. It's repetition. So, but it's important. It's very, very important. So on the 4-hour, we are bullish, trend direction, right? We're trend direction, we're bullish. We have an active candle, we're coming down, so we already know that what we expect to see on the 15-minute is bullish, right? And that's where we are here, bullish, okay? Just a reflection of what's going on the higher time frame. So once you get down to your 15-minute per the early entry plan, then you go into your confirmations, right? All we're doing is just waiting for the price to close above our 13, and you know, our MACD coincides with that, and it's not sitting directly under support dots. And then you just take it now, and where you take it, look left. So you should never be guessing where you're going to get out of the market. Never. You should always have identified areas where you're going to take your money, right? Always. So these just right off the top are areas that you can TP at, right? Now remember, if you're on the 15-minute chart, you can go from zone to zone, and shucks, that could just be 30 pips, right? Because it's a 15-minute chart. Whereas the higher time frame would give you a longer run, give you, you know, kind of more pips or whatever. But that's the gist of that. Any questions from NT1? Okay, so that's GJ is going to be the last one. What we're going to do is let's go to GBP Chef. Okay. So on the daily, let's go to 4-hour. Okay, so we are bullish trend direction on the 4-hour for G-Chef, right? And what position are we in now? What is price currently doing right now?
Bearish, going down.
Well, this is the active candle. It's a bearish candle. Looks like a little consolidation that may be happening. But overall, you know, price is above the 13, you know, and it's curving up. So, and look at your MACD. Everything on your chart tells a story. Everything, right? So overall, we still have bullish momentum thus far. So based on what's happening right now, what do we expect to see when we drop down to the 15-minute? And before anybody answers, everybody else, George, Renee, Allison, Drew, Riley, Wendy, Wesley, do you all understand what we talked about thus far? Y'all can unmute. Is there anything in particular that wasn't quite clear? Are you rolling with us? You rocking with us? You on track? Let me know before we move. Because the one thing that I don't want is for anyone to get off the train and be like, I don't know what in the world she was talking about. Right? That's you want to get the best and the most out of the training.
If this is your first time, you will feel like that. However,
Yeah,
just keep going and it gets clearer and clearer.
exactly. And the more questions you ask, because you hearing yourself, it resonates much more. Would you agree with that, Stacy?
I definitely do. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, they saying they understand.
Yeah, understand.
Okay, good. Yeah, we want y'all to definitely do.
Allison, Wendy, yeah, they're all saying they understand.
Okay, cool. All righty. So with that being said, what do you expect? Where do you expect price to be on the 15-minute? I mean, just take a
I
guess.
want to say up in that red zone up there.
Okay. Yeah. So basically traveling in this direction, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I certainly agree with you. There's a pretty long wick there. It may already be in the zone. It may already be in the zone. Let's see.
Well, the rule of thumb that I remember more so than anything else is what you told me once before: trade from zone to zone.
Yes, yes. And I made that suggestion to you because everybody's different, right? And so you want to, then there's different ways to trade. So you want the most simplest, cut and dry, trading style. And I thought that would have been a good one for you, but everybody don't do that, right? But you certainly can. Don't get me wrong. You can. You can trade zone to zone. And one of the benefits, you remember that, Raleigh? So one of the benefits is that there's very minimal interaction with the charts. You know, when you're trading zone to zone, you just have to ensure that your entry is right, and then you get out when it's going the next zone. So the interaction with the charts is very, very minimal, when you're trading zone to zone. So that may be conducive to your lifestyle. You may not have the opportunity to engage with the charts as some do, or you may just completely have no interest in doing that, right? It's perfectly okay, because you still can profit in the market. Now, when you do, if anybody does trade zone to zone, you want to make sure that you are prepared for the swing, because price never goes straight down or straight up. So you want to be prepared for the swing. Remember, we talked about price moving from one level to the next. So if it goes down to level 1, it's going to pull back up to level 3. Then it's going to play around between those two levels until it eventually breaks level 1, and then it's going to go down to the next level when it breaks it, and then it's going to pull right back up to level 1. That's all price does, and it's going to vacillate in there until it breaks and just keep going, right?
And because of that, I'm going to make sure that I use a trailing stop.
Well, if you're trading zone to zone, you don't have to. You could, but if you're trading zone to zone, you basically already identify when you're going to get out of the market, and that's when the price hits the zone. Now, you still can put in a trailing stop, but you would be more engaged with. You have to be a little more engaged with the chart, because you have to know when to put that in, right? When to move it and that kind of thing. So you're actually more engaged with the chart. You can certainly do that, but if you didn't want to do that, you just want to put your trade in and you want to get out at the next zone, you certainly can do that.
Okay.
Just watch a lot.
And pay close attention to my MACD.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it sounds like you it's kind of like you're intertwining, and what you're saying is not wrong, so don't get me wrong. But if you're trading zone to zone, you're not basically on the chart like that. You put your trade in, and you identify those areas. I still say that you can put in an alert or what have you to help you to, identify when it's time to get out, or, you check your chart and see that, okay, I'm in the next zone, I'm gonna get out. So your entry criteria needs to be definitely on point. And once you enter, then let it ride. That's one way. I'm a structure person, so I like to look at structure and identify those areas and just make whatever decisions I'm gonna make based on that. All righty. Any questions thus far? Because we are beyond 10 o'clock as usual. Any questions at all? So I hope that helped. Now, if there are any specific questions or areas of interest that you want to talk more about for upcoming trainings, let us know, myself or Dave, let us know ahead of time, and we'll do everything we can to accommodate you. Because again, we just want you to get everything out of it that's going to help you in your trading. Okay?
Thank you so much. It really is very helpful.
You're very, very welcome. So with that, we're going to call it a night, and I'm going to see you all on the next training. Y'all have a good one, okay?
You too.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Janice.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Dennis.
Night.
Good night.
Night.